Hi, everybody. Mike Shope, Adam Krautwurst, a rare live matinee edition of the Deep End here in Western New York. Bills, a little bit controversial, trading out of round one last night entirely with the first pick tonight. There's still a buzz. There's a lot of chirping about it. We'll talk about that, but it's not a Bill show. It's a fantasy show. We'll have some quick observations about what last night meant. And what a first round in a super flex, tight end premium, FFPC, just, randomly, hypothetically, league will look like after last night going into round two. And then finally, some of who we're especially interested in coming up here the second day of the NFL draft. Thanks for being with us, whether that's video on YouTube or anywhere else where you listen to your podcasts. Mike and Adam, let's go. Day two of the NFL draft. Here we go in the deep end.
What an amazing night. What did we get? How many offensive players did we get before we saw a defensive player? Like 17 or something?
Something like that.
Something like that. Maybe even more.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Great. So awesome. Great for fantasy. Some teams putting on a clinic. I can't believe we're the Bears. I want to hear, some other people. I want to hear Evan Silva's take, on his home team Bears, but putting on a clinic on how you build around a rookie quarterback. And exciting stuff.
I guess. 1-9 is a great place to start. They've, the Keenan Allen trade in the offseason really, with this now happening, looks like it rounds them out.
Yeah.
You really wonder, I think of Tennessee most of all for this. Here at WGR, by the time we got into the 6 o'clock hour, most of the reporting was how many teams in the top 10 maybe didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So where were those moves? This happens a lot where like you sit down for a draft and you're expecting all this action. And man, Tennessee doesn't get to Joe Alt, but they pick anyway. Atlanta takes Penix, and Chicago takes Odunze. I was texting you. I had convinced myself that if the Bills had wanted to trade up into the top 10, they would, because the receivers, there's that tier break. Maybe a dramatic one. And if all these teams don't want to be there and would take, more picks, then that's perfect for a team. I thought Indianapolis was even a better candidate for that, Adam, but none of that happened, right? So Odunze sits there for Chicago, fine. Penix to Atlanta, it was such a head scratcher. So it's a great night. It's always a great night, but as often happens, you're sort of ready for more movement and you don't get it.
Yeah, no, the movement didn't start until you got the trade up one pick or whatever from at 10 for McCarthy or
right.
Yeah. So yeah, and then the receivers didn't go off the board. Like I think what was the over under? We got to 6, right? But Pearsall and Leggett kind of saved the day at the end there.
Right, 7.
At the end of the first round, so it still didn't get there. But yeah, it's
7.
7. Oh, it did. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it was the last 2 picks. You said it. That saved the day if you had bet. Because I was not betting over 6.5 receivers. I was on the under all the time with that.
And you were probably feeling good when it took Brian Thomas 23. He was number 4, and then it kind of went wild after that. Interesting stuff. You get Xavier Worthy, the speedster, to Kansas City. Just I think a lot of teams ended up doing kind of what they wanted to do. They didn't. Maybe Denver didn't want Bo Nix, but they kind of I guess he was the last one. But I feel like when you take a quarterback in the first round, unless it's like J.P. Lossman of the Bills when they took like whatever was left, I feel like you get the guy that you generally want in the first round because you can trade up for him to get the guy that you really want. I know Bo Nix was a polarizing player. Some people loved him, his athletic ability. Some people thought he wasn't a first round pick. So, I think it was. I obviously think the most interesting pick to me was the quarterback, the Falcons taking Penix. Like, they have a really good offense already. I get it. Like, they don't really need much on offense. They got their quarterback, but man, I feel like the NFC South is not strong, and they could have really, with a really good player there, put a stamp on it.
Even if, in terms of fantasy, if Michael Penix Jr. goes to Vegas, as was speculated at 13, Denver
Right.
takes Knicks and they just can't wait. They don't want to take the risk and they draft these guys. You're in a super flex draft. I mean, they're going maybe in the first round. I mean, they're both likely to be starters. Bo Nix what are the odds he starts week 1? I don't know what they've said, but they're not
Right.
they're not bad, right? So a starting quarterback, if you got to believe somewhat in the profile, I guess, or maybe not even care about that. That's usually a first round pick in a super flex draft. So Penix going to Atlanta, maybe not. And 8th overall might not even, I don't know. Well, I want to figure that out with you. I haven't read anybody on this yet today, but like, I don't know if it means anything for Cousins because he's older and he's going to start, but Penix is like, he's in a different place after last night as an investment in Dynasty.
Yes. Yeah. Like worse, right? Because he might not play for years, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy. And then the other thing too is like I'm even like looking like I get the Falcons. The Falcons must have really wanted him because again, you could have really added to your team. There was also a couple quarterbacks behind him that might have got ahead of him. And I mean,
right.
I know you got Pitts, love Pitts, but to pass on, you got Bowers, you got linemen. You never have too many linemen either. And this was an offensive lineman draft. So, lots of interesting stuff, including the Bills hating to take a receiver in the first round for their guy Josh, as much as his life, just trading back. I know listen, I get it, the value, I get it. And it does make sense.
You're trying to head me off. I'll say it for you, Mike. I know it's smart, quote smart. I know.
And listen, I said this before, D-Gene will find a way. D-Gene will find a way to the Buffalo Bills, and there he is.
Do you think, how realistic do you think that is? So he is a top defensive back prospect out of Iowa. We were talking on our show yesterday with Sal Capaccio. All right, Sal, Bills beat writer or reporter. Who is the defensive player at 28, if he were to fall, that you think they would take? And he and I both thought DeGene was the answer to that question. Wasn't the only answer, but we thought maybe that would be one where they sort of, and maybe that was even going to happen if they don't make the trade with Kansas City. Maybe that's what they would have done. But I just want to say it once. I mean, I love what they did. I am guessing, being with a history with Carolina, that he had 32 sort of ready, prepared if he got to 32, but he had to get there first with the Chiefs. So the Chiefs trade in terms of most of these value charts is pretty neutral. And the Bills position, they're not gaining a lot of draft capital there. They get a third, which they didn't have, but they're looking at the wide receiver options the same way everyone else is, which is it's so flat and there's so many.
Yes.
So why do I want to pick the first guy on that list? You don't. So that's easy. And then the Carolina trade is a huge value win for them. And it's not only that, because they get the next, 19 hours to sit at the first pick of the day. That's not even baked into these charts at all.
Right.
But if San Francisco wants to trade Deebo Samuel, then you have a day and a half to talk about that with them and to consider all your options. So I love that one, but they had to get to 32 to be able to get there. And, it's Kansas City, which is great content.
That's it. That's the thing. Yeah. It's like now you got to deal with that, like him giving you the deuces if he scores a big touchdown and then the playoffs. But yeah, but I mean, I'm fine with it. And you could tell. So the interesting part is they're going to take a receiver here. Well, they clearly don't love a receiver in this range because they keep trading back because like you said, it is so flat. It is all the same. That's where it makes me think like, now they have 2 seconds, they have a third, they have the second next year. Maybe they take D-Gene and move back up and take a receiver here. If they do take a receiver, what are you thinking for them? I know we were all, things coming out about Adonai Mitchell, but that was with the thought of, the Bills taking him at 28 or trading up. I've kind of liked Franklin a little bit from Oregon. There's a couple of guys here. At this point, we don't really Lad McConkey, who I really like as well too. At this point, we don't really care who the receiver is, right? Because they're all fine value in the second round.
In terms of fantasy, you mean? Like,
No, just for the Bills, and then sure,
okay.
fantasy.
Well, I think, you know me, like I would try to trade down again.
Sure.
I would spend all day here and see if anybody wants to give me a second and a third for this pick. And then, I mean, I'm just loaded, and I'm drafting Franklin maybe in the 40s
Right.
instead of 33, or I'm setting up for Javon Baker.
Yes.
McConkey is fine. Mitchell is fine. All these guys suffice. But I think, it's only 5 picks they've moved here with
Right.
these 2 trades. So the tier is, even though 3 have been picked since then, Worthy, Pearsall, and Leggett, like you're still kind of in the same situation.
Yes.
So it's another exercise in how many receivers go here coming up. And there could be a few. So it depends on what your board looks like. But if they were to pick at 33, I wouldn't want to rule out defense, other guys, but it would be McConkey for me.
Yeah.
I guess there's a little bit of concern about where he's at physically, but I think he would be, for me, likely to be the best player, all else equal, remaining at wide receiver. That's who I would root for.
If there's a receiver here, if the Bills take a receiver, is he super flex, tight end premium, dynasty, rookie? Is he 8? Is he 9?
Well, let's talk it out.
Okay.
That's a good number. I can't imagine him being higher than 8.
Right.
So
correct.
I think it probably goes, depending on team needs, right? But we talked to Theo Greminger the other night. What does the first round look like, and what happened last night to change it? He was definitive that Harrison is one of the top 2, even in Superflex, that Harrison would be one of the top 2. So, okay. And then Williams is the other. Like, would we agree that Williams, Harrison, or maybe once in a while, vice versa, you and I are in a league where the team at 101 has 3 good starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Maybe they would take Harrison instead. But aren't those likely to be, or Daniels? Is Daniels in the conversation? How would you look at it?
I think Daniels is in the conversation. Again, I loved Daniels. I was flipping up on Daniels and Caleb Williams for weeks, just for them in the NFL, but dynasty. But now with Caleb Williams, we knew he was going to Chicago, but now with Roma Dunze there, as much as you maybe not love Roma Dunze, but Adunze, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. I mean, you couldn't ask for more as a rookie quarterback coming in. The Bears did it really, really well. So I think Caleb's got to be the one. And then if you really want Jaden Daniels over Harrison, I think you can trade back with the guy behind you, or maybe 2 picks or something. Harrison's the safer pick. Harrison, I think, is a lock there. He's going to get a ton of targets as being the guy there in Arizona. So I'm fine with Harrison there. And then to me, it's definitely Daniels at 3. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, in terms of over May or any other quarterback, in terms of versus Neighbors, I would say yes. But it's still like, I would put Neighbors 4, and that is still a great investment, probably.
Yeah.
Like, he's number 1 on his team, probably for the long term.
Yes.
They'll have a different quarterback by 25, maybe unlike the Cardinals, but that doesn't have to be bad.
Right.
So,
right.
There's a little bit more uncertainty about this season with him, but almost equally good as a prospect. No doubt about where he would rank as a pass catcher on his team. Easily number 1.
Yes.
And after that, like, what else is that? What's the problem? So
right.
I would put Neighbors 4. There might have been an argument for Bowers in tight end premium, but it's a little bit weird what happened to him. So I think maybe he takes a small dip in value after last night going to Vegas, which has Michael Mayer.
Right now, kind of off the top of my head, I was doing this quick before the show. I kind of like McCarthy at 4 and Superflex. I just, again, going, I'm not saying McCarthy's, more talented than the Neighbors type of thing, but man, you put him on a team again that's loaded. I mean, you got the best receiver in the NFL, one of the top tight ends in the NFL, for Addison, a really solid offensive line. Like, I just feel like he could go in there, and if you need a quarter, that's the thing. what does your team need? Are you deprived of quarterbacks? I remember us having a discussion maybe a year ago where you were like, listen, because you do a lot of these dynasty leagues. Listen, I just want to take all the quarterbacks all the time because you can't freaking get them. So it's like, you know what? Like maybe I take the McCarthy over the Neighbors because an average quarterback is worth more than, Kirk Cousins is worth what's the last 10 years of Kirk Cousins worth? A wide receiver 12, 13, 14 overall in these super flex leagues. Like that's probably where Neighbors is going to be at least early on in his career. So I think I can make the argument for McCarthy if you believe that he's not a complete bust.
I've had Cousins on a dynasty team for like 5 years, and I've had a lot of bad luck or just made bad decisions around it, but I can't lose.
Right. That's right.
He had the Achilles tear. That became a problem. I had Jordan Love behind him, but like it's sort of it's so much easier if you have sort of that baseline production in the super. You have to have it. You have to have it. And Cousins has paid off in a certain way. So I think that's fine. I mean, McCarthy. Is there any other quarterback you would consider there? Like what's May after last night?
May is, how I feel about that Patriots off. Now, again, you're one off season away, not this year, but they're going to stink. And then if May looks decent, they're one off season away from signing this guy, signing that guy, having a top 5 pick, taking a receiver, and then all of a sudden having the Bears receiving core, something like that. That's not really the Patriots way or whatever, but we'll see. But from there, like I've got him behind Neighbors, Bowers, Odunze. Like I just don't even know if May is good because again, how do we really know? And then you're putting him on a team like the Patriots that have one of the very few teams that at this point has, they're probably bottom 3 talent wise on the offense. And they don't even have like an elite offensive line. Like they've got a couple of years to go here, and then even after the rookie year, you don't even know, like you've had a couple rookie quarterbacks, think of Mac Jones, think of Carson Wentz, guys like had a pretty good rookie year. Like, oh, this guy's the future. And then he stinks, so yeah, it's interesting, but I've got May. Like I would never take May over Bowers. Never. Like Bowers, although Bowers is kind of the Drake May here of the tight end position, goes to a team that's just no quarterback, a good tight end already on the roster. So we'll see.
I think, the quarterback thirst last night and the Bowers situation there with the Raiders could cause him to slip in some of these drafts. And while, agreeing with the sort of, it's not the Jets, it's not like a wide open red carpet kind of situation for him. It could still be great. I mean, they are not exactly a team that they have Devontae Adams and then they're wide open after that. And he could be on the field all the time, maybe even doing a little bit, maybe even be a little bit more freed up as a pass catcher with there being another tight end there.
Sure.
And so it's probably not that different than if he had gone to a team without a Michael Mayer. But because of McCarthy, May, Nix, you might get lucky with Bowers pick 7 or 8 in one of these drafts.
Yeah, I think the McCarthy is a great point. I think because you're going to get someone who might already have a tight end, and they take Neighbor. I mean, it could go like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Harrison, McCarthy, Neighbors, and then you might be able to get Bowers at 6. And that's where we are. What are we 3, 4, 7?
Yeah,
something like that in our league. And it's like, yeah, we're gonna get maybe Bauer slips to us at 7 or whatever. We get something like that or whatever. So I mean, May again, I would hate to play that game and then get stuck with May there. But yeah, I think those are the, each there's like tier, right? Caleb's by himself, and you got Jaden Daniels and Harrison kind of interchange, and then McCarthy, Neighbors, Bowers kind of interchanged. And then you get do you need a quarterback, May, you need a receiver, Odunze. And then after that, is it Kansas City's receiver? Is it the Bills receiver? Is it who is it?
What number are we on here? What have we done? What have you done, Adam?
We've done 3, 6, 8 with May and Odunze being 7 and 8.
Okay. So Williams, Harrison, Daniels, McCarthy, Neighbors, Bowers. That's the top 6.
Yeah.
And then Odunze and May are 7 and 8. You'll have some interesting, right?
You got Bo Nix. Yeah, you could. Yeah, that's right.
You'll have some interesting opportunities for teams with multiple picks if they have the one to couple Williams with Odunze. There'll be teams who will want to do that, which could make trades interesting there if you're in that 6-7 range and somebody's eager to have the stack. All right. Again, like we're at pick 8 here, or we're pick 9.
We're going into pick 9. We're going to pick 9. Real quick question, Mike, from Cody. Neighbors over Odunze with the landing spot? I say absolutely.
I say yes. Maybe this year, I think just maybe this is a little obvious and lazy, but this year Odunze has more other guys in his way.
Right.
Like
that's right.
That's just sort of they can slow play that. Nobody's going to think Super Bowl this year, rookie quarterback. But he is really good. And there would be a split on that opinion. But I think it would be Neighbors for me because he could dominate targets. And if he has a great year, everybody's going to want him.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get dominate targets. And he's really good. So, yeah, I would definitely do that for sure.
That's part of what you want to consider, I think, is like in a year, who will be more valuable? And I would guess that Neighbors will be more valuable in a year because the win now teams, that's this year, that's baked into this year too. So yes, it would be Neighbors for me, but I think the other side is respectable. Okay, 9, I think is worthy.
9 is worthy. Okay.
Right. Wow. I mean, there's also competition for targets there, but we don't know about a suspension for Rice. And Travis Kelce's age, he's an electric player, and it's Kansas City. I would put him as the 109 ahead of Nix, and definitely ahead of Penix and any running back. And then I might think that the next receiver is whatever the Bills do.
Okay, so that we I agree. The receivers to consider are Brian Thomas, Pearsall, and Leggett. Obviously, Leggett, no.
Leggett's the toughest. Carolina,
the toughest, and we got to see what the Niners do make a trade. What are your thoughts on? Are they making a trade?
I think maybe Deebo Samuel gets traded. Yes,
okay.
I think maybe that happens.
Interesting.
Because really, I mean, they were already in a spot with Ayuk's contract. And there's been all this speculation about him. Samuel is a better idea for them to trade just in terms of their cap and their future because he's older and he's already gotten paid. And, maybe you get just about as good of an offer for a player of his caliber or maybe better. So you make this draft pick. I mean, come on.
Right.
Somebody's going.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Brian, not Brian Thomas over Worthy.
I mean, I just never liked the player.
Yeah.
The yards per route run point with Thomas. You might have a labrum injury to have to deal with where he hasn't even had surgery yet. People are saying about him. And Jacksonville, you could do worse than Jacksonville, but there's competition there too. It's not the most. It's okay. I just would put Worthy above him. I would have put Worthy above him as a prospect.
And whoever the Bills take, if they take one.
Yes, because that is wide open.
Yeah, correct. No, I completely agree. The interesting thing here to me is Nix. Like again, I haven't heard Denver talk like he's the starter going into the year. Yes,
maybe
like walking into it.
It's Jarrett Stidham or it's him.
Yeah, so it's like man,
he's 30 or something. Nix, like he's not. He's been in college football forever. Like he's not raw, right? That's not a word you'd use to describe him. So he probably should start right away.
Right. And he comes right in, and it's hard, man. In these super flex rookie drafts because even if you're like Nix is terrible. Well, what if you're wrong? I'm not saying you, just anybody. Like Nix is terrible. What if you're wrong? Now you took a receiver, borderline, questionable receiver over a guy that can anchor kind of your quarterbacks for eternity here. But yeah.
Well, Adam, what about Pearsall? If there is a Deebo trade,
Deebo trade, I would do Nix, I think, over Pearsall. Even I think again, it depends on your roster build, what you need, but I think I would do Nix.
Okay. So that's 11. That's 11, 12. That's
3,
11, 12.
6,
9, 10 are Worthy and Buffalo.
Worthy, Buffalo. Yeah.
11, 12 would be Knicks and Pearsall if a Debo trade.
I think I would go Thomas over Pearsall, but sure. Pearsall.
Okay. That's
Pearsall,
13.
Thomas.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And you will have a lot tonight to have
Yes.
to juggle too, including all the running backs.
I know. That's interesting. What are the the best a lot of good available receivers, obviously, all the running backs, which is what we expected. Who do you think the first running back off the board will be? And then they're talking the Cowboys love the kid
Brooks.
from
Jonathan Brooks.
Jonathan Brooks, that's right.
But he's coming off a knee injury, so that'd be a decision a little bit where when am I getting him? Maybe he's ready for the beginning of the season, but as a rookie, a high draft pick, perhaps like mid-second or something, ideally, you're not in a big rush. So then, you have the Chargers, you have other teams where a few of these rookies will end up on teams where you think they would play a lot. Not too many, but Chargers, Dallas, a couple others. Somebody going to Arizona is a little bit interesting with Connor's age and sort of the reset there with Harrison already. Maybe like a pass catching type, Jalen Wright or somebody like that.
I love Jalen Wright. If he can find the right spot, I love him a lot.
Yeah, that could be kind of cool. That's the second round in these drafts. You're going to have a half dozen running backs. Teams are still going to need them, and some landing spots will look pretty good. Dallas maybe number one. They'll definitely pick one. Eventually,
Right.
Maybe not tonight, but they'll definitely pick a starter out of this draft.
I know. That's interesting.
And then you'll have A.D. Mitchell, Cora, maybe
Corum,
Chargers.
Maybe the Chargers,
yeah. Then you'll have A.D. Mitchell and Franklin and Keon Coleman and 10 other very interesting receivers. Second round order probably will just be all over the place. Right. Preferences, stacks,
trades, lots of trade. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You're talking about the fantasy.
In fantasy, sorry, I feel like the order, every league could be wildly different. There could be one or two. We haven't even included Leggett in this. One or two sort of obvious ones, like the Bills pick, and maybe a couple others like that. But after that, the rest of your rookie draft is just a free for all. By the middle of the second round at the latest.
Yeah.
It's kind of all over the place, I think, which is, that's fun.
Yeah, that's usually how it is anyways. But there could be some more trade. Like I said, we pick 3, 4, and 7. Is there are you interested in trading back out of 7 at all to get maybe 2 of those, the Pearsall Bills wide receiver or Thomas or anything like that? I guess who would have to be there?
You have my number. We don't have to tell everybody everything right now. But I think probably, since you asked, where we are going into that draft, which is, this is all going to be next week for people. So cool. Daniels is going to be on our team.
Yes.
And then we'll have the neighbors Bowers decision to make. One of them will be on our team. And Bowers is probably my lean because there is one tight end. We didn't even talk about possible tight ends in round 2 either, like a Jatavian Sanders or somebody like that. But I would think right now I would recommend Daniels 3, Bowers 4, and then if it's Neighbors, fine, of course. If it's Odunze, fine. If it's Worthy, one of those receivers at 7. Or what you do instead is you pick Neighbors and Bowers, and you get whoever it might be, Adam, right? McCarthy.
Yeah.
You get the quarterback at 7. Those would probably be the 2 options I would think we would have.
That's super. So much stuff, man. I just want to talk. Someone brought up had a Justin Herbert question, but I don't know where Herbert would go in this year's draft of quarterbacks. But
Let's try. Where would he go
in a super flex startup? Like if he was in this, I would take him after Caleb Williams.
Yeah, you would. How he is. He's not. Right. We're not guessing at his career. So
right. But I'm even looking at the team that he's at. Like, where's their weapons? They're talking about an offensive line is the tip of the spear, and fine, great, but they got rid of Keenan Allen. Fine, they got rid of Mike Williams. Fine, Quentin Johnston might be a huge bust there. And so what do you got? You got Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, two young, talented quarterbacks. Like, give us some weapons. Come on, let's go.
Well, you know what I would do? Like you're talking about our team with the 107. I might offer it for Herbert. If somebody rather have JJ McCarthy than Justin Herbert,
yeah,
I think I would go for that. I think I'd rather have Justin Herbert than McCarthy. I think.
Listen, let's hang up and get to work. Come on.
Here we head off into the darkness to offer all our mid-round picks in Superflex leagues for Justin Herbert all at once. You've been warned. You've been warned.
Here first on the deep end.
Right. All right. We'll be back on Tuesday night to recap the draft. We'll find a guest. We are very aggressive when it comes to guest hunting. Aggressive. So we will definitely have one for you, but we don't know who that is yet. Enjoy the rest of the draft. It's so good. Last night, so good. Tonight, tomorrow should be great. Please like the show and subscribe if that's an option for you. Give Adam a good rating.
That's right.
As well.
That's right.
That'd be really nice of you. It's all we ask. Mike and Adam, we'll see you Tuesday. Enjoy your weekend here from the deep end.
See you guys.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.